All right. We're going to get started in a minute or so, so find a seat, pull a chair over if you need to. Nothing formal. There's some additional seats up front. If my family hasn't claimed them yet, they can sit in the back, apparently. So come on up. First off, I wanted to thank everybody. Hi, Don Clark. Get a seat, buddy. Please. Sit on Burgess's lap if you need to. So, hey guys, don't stand in the back. Find a seat. Seriously. There's several seats up front. There's additional chairs if we need them. There's some seats up here too. There's a chair over there. There's a couple. It's going to be too long to stand. There's some over here. You guys can sit here too. If we need to grab more seats, we will. Nope. Please feel free. All right, so fantastic turnout, guys. I really appreciate everybody that came out. I think it's a testament to, to Laura, what she meant to each and every one of you guys. So I really do appreciate it. So first off, logistics lease, we own this building. So there's another room in the back if you decide, hey, I want to go have a private conversation with somebody or whatever. There's a big room in the back. We have access to the groom's room. Leather couches, nice chairs, a pool table. You guys can go do that. We also have access to the bridesmaid room. There's an additional bathroom in there if for whatever reason you need some private bathroom time. There's an additional bathroom. There's a couch back there, whatever you need. Jim, that's where you go. Okay, anyway, Jim's my brother. So let's see. This is going to take me a little bit. I decided to do this myself. I thought about having, a minister or somebody doing it. I figured, I felt like I just wanted to, do this from my heart. And so hopefully you guys have to bear with me throughout, but yeah, no problem. Thank you. I am encouraging guys to stay till 8. We're going to have plenty of food. There's cookies and desserts and stuff, drinks. This is set up for a wedding if you guys haven't figured it out. Nobody's getting married, but it's set up for a wedding. Don't be afraid to talk to strangers. We knew an eclectic group of people. We knew people from my work at Boeing. There's people here from my current job at GM, but by the way, that I no longer have because they laid off everybody at GM here in Chandler today or yesterday. Anyway, so God gave me a double blow, double tap. Don't be afraid to talk to strangers. There's amazing people in this room. Tons of smart people. If you think you're the smartest person in this room, I'll tell you right now, you're not. So please feel free to talk to whoever, share stories about Laura. We led an incredible, crazy life. From everything from my high school buddies are here, college friends, friends from book clubs, musical friends, all kinds of walks of life. So please, don't be afraid to reach out. I wanted to thank George and Tracy Guzman, Trish, Tina, Tracy's kids, for helping me get music for the video. I'll talk a little bit more about that. I want to thank the Friends of Gilbert Library. Some people in the back from that. She volunteered there for about 20 years. They brought some of the desserts. I want to thank Joe Cott, who's in the back. He is streaming this for people across the country. There's people that couldn't come that wanted to come. They left me some heartfelt messages. I'm going to read a couple of them for people that couldn't be here. And so we will post the recording of it, and we'll also, the video that we play here at the end, that'll also be posted. It's a YouTube thing. You guys can watch it at your own leisure if you want to rewatch it. There's a couple QR codes around. We're going to fund a bench for Laura at the Gilbert Library. They're planning on redoing it. And so that's Tracy's idea. And we're going to go ahead and fund a bench. If we get more money than the bench costs, we'll find another good purpose for it. But whoever donates, if it makes you feel good, your money went for the bench. If it went for something else, it's still the bench. Okay, so please sign the guest books. I saw a lot of people signing guest books. I might have chased you off because the line was so big. Sign them before you go if you want. Joy, my daughter, bought those, so thank you, Joy, for doing that. There's a lot of portraits and pictures around. There's some on the tables. By the way, there's Kleenex on the tables. If you don't want to on the side tables, if you don't want to get up, just they have white tablecloths here, just use those. Let's see. I'm going to introduce a couple people. I'm not going to introduce our whole family, but I'm going to introduce Laura's two brothers who made it here, one from Oklahoma, one from Arkansas. Dave, you want to just raise your hand? That's Dave is Laura's older brother, and Tommy is Laura's younger brother, so just wave. And then Laura's kids, Jade up front here, Ben here, Joy here with the baby. Nursing, don't look too close. And then, but there's lots of family members here, so, introduce yourself and find out who's who. We should make a game out of it. So after today, hi, Carmela. Grab a seat. There's some chairs. There's a chair up here. If you guys got a vacant chair, wave your hand or whatever. Let them see. So Carmela came in all the way from Vegas. So her and her boyfriend there came all the way from Vegas to come. So I really appreciate that. I called you out just because you guys are standing in the back. So that's why you get that. So this is going to be a closure for a lot of you. This will be a time to say goodbye and pay last respects to Laura. I just have to tell you guys, here, you guys can sit together. It's not a closure for me. It's not a closure for the kids. This is the first day of our new lives. We have to figure out, hi, sweetheart. We have to find out what the new normal is. And I want you to continue to invite my kids to things, continue to invite me to things. Don't be worried about, hey, Laura's gone and we're going to be upset. We're going to want to talk about Laura, but I do want you guys to talk about her. So try not to forget us. I really appreciate the turnout. It's amazing. You guys stand in the back if you want. Try to get, can you get chairs set them along the side? There's some chairs over here along the wall. Yeah, I don't want you guys, this is going to be pretty long, so I want you guys to sit. I want you guys to continue to talk about her, share stories about her. Yes, she died. But the only way we can keep her alive is to share the stories that we have. I want you guys to share stories with the people that you're sitting with. This room is packed, so there's tons of stories. And I don't want this to be the last day you guys ever talk about her, because then what's the purpose, right? So please continue to do that. So the service is going to go kind of like this. I'm going to read a couple tributes that people sent me, and then I'm going to allow Joy to talk first, and then I'm going to allow Jade to talk, and then I'm going to let her brother David talk. Then I'm going to open it up for people to talk. If you feel the urge to say something, please do. If you just feel uncomfortable, like if nobody talks, nobody cares about Laura, I know you don't. So you don't have to force yourself to come up here and tell an embarrassing story about the time her shoe broke or something. Just enjoy, share each other stories with the table. But if you feel like you really have a strong urge to say something, I'll give you time to wave me down and do that. And then after everybody's shared, I'm going to share mine. I'm going to try to make it through. And then at the end, there's a video tribute. So the video tribute's long. It's 35 minutes. I just want you guys to listen to the music, look at the images, reflect on your relationship with Laura, and also, if the pictures so inspire you, reflect on memories of people close to you, loved ones, whatever. The video will continue after the service without sound. It will just loop it. And there's lots of crazy pictures in there. So if you feel the need, what is this picture of Laura where she's riding a camel topless? ask me and I'll tell you what the story is, okay? There's not one in like that, but if there were one, ask me about the story, I'll go into it, and it'll probably be an interesting story. You guys will see cleavage, side boob, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you'll stay interested for the whole 35 minutes. And please, again, I'll emphasize, stay to visit. You guys have maybe not seen people in months or years that are here, that came together, and then there's people that you've never met before, and feel free to talk to anybody especially about your memories with Laura. You guys can talk other stuff too, but please stay. Like I said, if you want to get more comfortable, there's those leather chairs back there and seats, and you can play pool or whatever you want to do. But I don't want y'all to just take off if you can. Okay, so first story I'm going to share is from Jeannie Mangano. She's watching on live. She lives in Indiana. So she wanted to share a story how she met Laura, how I met Laura. I'm going to use her person. So imagine her standing here. Many years ago, I was fortunate to be asked to be part of a planning committee for Suzanne Brockmann's Readers Weekend event. Suzanne Brockmann's a New York Times bestselling author. She's famous mainly for Navy SEAL type books, kind of romance novel-y, but Navy SEALs, a lot of actual accurate historic things, and she had Reader Weekend events. The first night we met, the first night was a meet and greet with all the planning committee members, but my flight landed close to the end of that, and I never did find out who was a volunteer like me. The next day, which happened to be the first day of the actual event, I noticed a woman bopping around different groups, talking and groups of people and talking, laughing and welcoming everyone. As a volunteer, this was part of our tasks, but this particular woman was doing it effortlessly. It was as if a beam of light from above followed her around, shining only upon her. Her gift was her ease at getting strangers to talk and feel comfortable. She was witty and charming and uber-friendly. She reminded me of a cool neighbor who lived next door, who also happened to be your best friend. Throughout the evening, I could catch a glimpse of her working the room or chatting with the guest authors, making them laugh. By the end of the first night, and all the readers had retired to their rooms, I knew I just had to meet this woman. So I stood in the hallway outside the elevators, waiting for her to come out of the conference room. It was late, and as I stood there, with hardly anybody else around, I began to wonder if she would think I was creepy, odd, threatening. Right before I was about to change my mind, she walked out and saw me standing there. I smiled, took a deep breath, said, "Hi, my name is Jeannie. I just have to tell you that I'm in awe of how you were with the readers tonight. I could tell that you really made them feel welcomed and comfortable, and that you're really good at it." Her big brown eyes sparkled, and she smiled back and said, "Hi, I'm Laura." We stood there talking for 45 minutes, laughing, sharing stories about our husbands and kids, and which one of Sue's books was our favorite. She probably didn't know it at the moment, but Laura was going to be my new best friend, and she was. We talked or chatted daily, and for hours, sharing daily life circumstances and solving the world's problems. Now that her physical body is no longer with us, our precious memories of her are, and her spirit lingers in our hearts, in the hearts of our family and her family and friends. We love and miss you, Laura. I'm sure you're bopping around in the afterlife, being witty and charming. This one is from Maya. She really wanted to be here today, but she would have had to fly in this morning and fly out tonight, and she wanted to spend a little more time with me, so she said she'll come back and spend a little more time with me. But she lives in California, and this is from her. I used to say, friends come to your event, and real friends help you clean up afterwards. Then there's a singular friend who also sparkles enough to turn your event into a welcoming party, who will dress to match your theme, who will help you pick up feathers on the floor because you thought it would be fun to hand out boas, because it is fun, but it also looks like a Muppet massacre afterwards. Laura and I have never lived in the same city, but she had the magical ability to be true friends with people near and far. Laura was both the life of any party and a font of well-considered wisdom. She was everything I hoped to be as a parent and a friend. She's literally literally my inspiration. In my darkest days, I would try to channel her sunshine-drenched pragmatism. You can tell writers and readers because they actually can write. She was not an insipid Pollyanna. She was a Mary Poppins, and everyone she encountered was lifted up by her existence. It sounds like trite things you say when people are taken from us. How can I convey that it's true? She was just magic. It's fundamentally wrong that she's been taken so soon. So I'm gonna let Joy, if you wanna come up. I'll switch chairs with you.
Wow, I'm really short. Hi.
This moves.
Okay, I was like, man, thanks. Oh, man. Hi. Looking around at everybody, it's amazing how many people are here, but it's more amazing that this is only a fraction of the many people that my mom touched. She was the kind of person that you could just go to the grocery store and everybody knew who she was. You would go to the library. Everybody knew who she was. She just was such a light in so many people's lives. And it's just so hard knowing that she's not going to be here. When I think about my mom, the first thing I think of, weirdly enough, are her eyes. For all of you guys who are here, you know that she just had that sparkle. You would just see her, and that sparkle it captured your hearts. Her smile was just so welcoming, so amazing. She truly was just one of those people that are just a once-in-a-lifetime person that you're gonna meet. She was unbelievably selfless, and she never complained. And you wouldn't even know how much that she did until now, when unfortunately those things won't be done anymore. A little less than 2 years ago, I became a mom, and I must say, the biggest blessing of being a mom, besides my kids, were actually watching my parents become grandparents. As dorky as that sounds, watching them kind of come into these new roles in their lives, and watching my mom get that, just extra light that I didn't even think that she could ever get in her eyes when she would see them. And she helped me so much because, man, having 2 under 2, as she knows, is quite a challenge. And she never judged. She would never make me feel bad about maybe not doing something how she would think it should be done. She would just let me figure it out, but still be holding my hand through everything. And she was that person in so many people's lives where she would just be there to hold your hand and cheer you on. She was people's biggest cheerleaders. And she was just such a special person. She was more than just my mom. She was honestly like my best friend. Especially in the end, I wouldn't change anything about the relationship that we had. I saw her every day, and she is just such a magic person. She's a magic person. And I know that no one can fill those shoes, but she's such an inspiration. And I would love to try to be like her. And I know so many other people who are just like, if I could just be anything like her, I know about how much happiness I could bring into the world. And I hope that we can all just keep doing that, to keep all that happiness that she brought into all of our hearts going, with those just random acts of kindness, that smile, even to somebody in the grocery store. I think that we can all just keep her alive as much as we can, and keep her in our hearts, because she, again, is one in a million bajillion people, and it's just gonna be a lot harder. But I do believe, I know I'm kind of rambling, I do believe that we can keep that going. And I know right now she would just be so happy seeing all these people that she loved and cared about finally getting together. There's some people I haven't seen in 13 years, and I get to see again, and just love, and I don't know if that would have happened without this happening. And I'm just so happy to see us all here. I really am, and I know that she would be too. Ooh, I think that's all I got. I'm surprised a tear hasn't fallen yet, but I didn't want to write this down because I feel like when it comes from the heart, it's important. Plus, honestly, I don't think I could say or write this down twice, but thank you guys all for just keeping her alive. And just thank you all, and thank you, Mom, for just being who you were. And I hope that we can all be like her as much as we can. So thank you.
Borrow this chair.
Okay, I can move for you. What are you gonna do? Oh, okay, Neil?
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way I can stand up. Hi. I locked my notes because I'm smart like that. I just made cliff notes because I had no idea kind of what everyone would want to say or what everyone would want to hear, or really kind of any of it. So I just wanted to kind of share a few stories about Mom, and I did have like a little intro, so we'll just humor me there. We are all here today because of Laura Luke. Family, all kinds, family, friends, all kinds of relationships, even the ones with no names. Everywhere she went, she made connections, from college to bars to schools and churches, even to faraway places. My mom just found people everywhere, and everywhere people found her worthwhile. It's funny, even we went on a trip to Japan. My mom was wonderful. I spent quite a deal of my teen years in the hospital, and she made friends with nurses, which led to her nominating for Make-A-Wish, and my whole family went to Japan and spent time together. And my mom was always open to it. She was excited for me, but Japan was not a place that was on her list of top places to go. So my brother and I both spoke Japanese, and it was a little it's hard, across different cultures, and I wanted to go to rural areas. But even in Japan, I won't forget, we were on a bus in the middle of nowhere. People were stopping and staring because they'd never seen non-Japanese people before. And we were on this bus decorated by school kids, and this little girl, 3 or 4, is just staring glassy-eyed at us. And my mom just starts peekaboo playing, and you can and the girl starts lighting up. She starts hiding behind different passengers on the train and poking out to see if my mom will smile every time she makes a different face. So she starts making all these different faces when she pops out. And while that's happening, I'm just watching the girl's mom, who's been staring the whole time, just foreigner, and then just watching. She was not amused. And then she just slowly just started to get this big grin across her face until finally she held the girl back while we got off and waved goodbye with just a big smile on her face. So it made me laugh because it's my mom's just like that. She just made connections with people everywhere, especially kids. My mom got off the train. She's like, there we go. I can't speak Japanese like you guys can. I don't know all the anime, all the different food and stuff, but I know kids, and that's the best I can do. And it's yeah, it always has been that way. That always made me smile. Myself, I'm here because I love Mom, but I'm not just here. Everyone's here because we cared about her. We're here in the sense that we've gathered to recognize her, in the sense that we've met each other because of her. For myself, it's I'm not even just here because I was born because of her, but because I would not be alive today without my mother. I've had medical issues since I was very small, and my mom, I have been grateful for my entire life. She had to make really tough decisions whole childhood. She was a new mom. I mean, she had my brother who was 1.5 when I was born. So she had 2 young kids, and I always looked up to how she didn't follow parenting advice. She just followed her children. She just went with, this is what my kids are like, and she just learned us instead of learning, like a book or this is the way you do it. She just figured out how we all worked, and we all worked differently. So she taught us differently, and she spent time with us differently. We all like different things. And seeing that was wonderful. And we spent a lot of time together, the 2 of us, because, at the beginning, it was able to be my siblings and I and my mom. But as he got older, I didn't start going to a hospital until I was in my teen years, and my mom would drive home every night to be with the other kids, with her family, and every morning she would drive an hour to the hospital to be with me because she felt it was so important that everyone deserved to have their mom, to have someone there, to make sure that no one felt like they were abandoned and no one felt like they were ever had to be alone. And she was just always like that, and it was really wonderful, and she did such a great job. And I mean, I used to tell people, people, if you have an illness, people are like, oh, I'm really sorry, that's not fair, that must be terrible. And it's like, well, no, everyone's lucky and unlucky in things. I was unlucky health-wise, but I always told people that I was really lucky because I had a family that got along. I had a family that loved me a lot. All of my family, my brother and I, we were the kids. My mom would joke sometimes that we were the children of the corn because we just look at each other and knew what the other one was going to do. And she knew when that look happened that mischief was coming because it meant the 2 of us were up to something. She's like, I don't know what they just said, but those kids are up to something. So I was really lucky with that. And I mean, not many people would have had a mom that would keep driving back and forth. And even at the hospital, we think about these bad times from it, but there are so many good times. We laughed really hard. We had a nurse that we got to know named Steve, and every time we went in high school, Steve worked in the ER and he worked in intensive care. And we'd meet Steve. He became great friends with us. We'd walk through the front door. Steve would see us. He'd yell past security. He'd be like, all right, you 2 are coming with me. And he'd just wave us back in the room, and he'd tell everybody on the way, this is my patient. No one else is taking her. These are mine. And one day, my mom was getting ready for a party, and I got sick. So I said, let's just meet at the hospital. I'm in the hospital room, and Steve's outside, and I hear my mom, and she comes up to Steve, and I just hear her go, Steve, Steve! And Steve goes, Steve, it's good to see you. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you know which room Jade is in? And he's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, just so confused. My mom goes, I'm Jade Luke's mom, Laura Luke. And he goes, oh! And my mom just burst out laughing, and she's like, you've never seen me in makeup and heels with my hair's done. She's like, you only ever see me when I've been in the hospital for 3 days sleeping on a chair. It was so funny. And he's like, yeah, you look great. But it was just so funny that my mom, with so many different people, to all these different people she met, they knew all these people, Steve knew her so well that he recognized us through all those windows and doors, and he'd never seen that side of her. And he was excited once he realized it was her. But it was just so much, things like that were so much fun. And we did have a while where I had blood clots in my brain. The prospects were not good. I did not understand that. So I'm sure that was a little bit difficult, and I'm sure my father will have some stuff to say about that kind of journey. But what I have to say about it was I had been in the hospital for a while, and my mom came in one day, and she's got this big grin on her face. Now, I'm not feeling well, so we had the windows blocked out. They like taped comforters over every light in the room. And my mom busts open the door and she leans over me. She's like, Jade, if you can get in the wheelchair, I have a surprise for you. And I'm like, is this a trick? Like, what on earth is going on here? And I was very confused, but I was like, okay. And she helped me up some. I got into the wheelchair. And she wheels me out, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm like, is my dad here? Is it just a trick to get me out of my room? Like, what is going on? And she wheels me outside and starts just pushing me around the hospital with a big grin on her face. And we see every corner in the entire hospital was lit up with Christmas trees. Just all different themes. There was a Hanukkah table all decked out in blue and silver. Angel trees, origami, everything. And every night, my mom, when the hospital shuts down, you don't sleep well at night in the hospital. No one does. And every night, my mom would wheel me to a different part of the hospital, and we'd look at trees until I couldn't sit up anymore. And it was really magical. And I remember her wheeling me around, and I'm pointing to ornaments, and I look over, and there's a 7-year-old boy. Just saw the two of us just so much, and him and his mom. He's leaning it, pointing at ornaments, and his mom's got her arm in front of him like this, like when there's a mom hits the brakes and she puts her hand in front of the kid, and it's because he's hooked up to IVs in a wheelchair, and he's falling out of the wheelchair because he's so excited to show her the ornaments. And at that moment, I was like, all right, who's in charge of putting up these trees? Who does this? It's amazing. So my mom encouraged me to, write a thank you note to the hospital. We didn't know where to send it. I sent the note and got a response. The person in charge was forwarded the message, and she said, anytime you want to donate a tree, there's one waiting for you. So as soon as my mom was excited, and as soon as I got better, every single year since then, my mom has come with me to the hospital to donate a Christmas tree. She's come with me, and no matter how I'm feeling, good or bad, no matter if I have a million hours I want to spend putting up every decoration perfectly, she came with, and she put those ornaments up with me because it was important to the both of us. It was one of those things that it was really special. And definitely, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll just say one more thing and we're good. And I do want to say that, sorry, I have trouble putting my thoughts in order, which is why I wrote down 3 different notes. Like I said, we did have hard times together. Every surgery I ever had, every procedure, everything that would be scary to a child or adult, every time I went under anesthesia in my entire life, except for one time, my mom was there holding my hand. Every time. Every time she would hold my hand until they pulled me into the OR, and she would say, I love you. Every single time. She talked her way into so many pre-op rooms, and she was like, no, I'm going back there with my kid. She was just wonderful, and thanks for her efforts, I had a normal life, normal school, normal friends, normal everything, because my mom was undefeatable. She was not stoppable, and she was determined. It never occurred to her to give me anything other than a normal life, so she did everything she could to make that happen. And I am so grateful for her for that, because there's not much more wonderful than that. I mean, yeah. No, that's fine.
David, you up for it? Okay.
Hi. I'm David. I'm Laura's big brother. And when I was 6 years old, all of a sudden I had this new baby sister, and I just felt like a protector, and I was just going to protect her and take care of her for the rest of her life. And then as she got older, she got so strong that suddenly she became the protector. And everybody in this room, if you knew Laura, she had this boundless energy, and she had this eternal optimism, and she just could not be put down. And she became the protector of everyone. Anybody that needed help, she was there for them. And that's what I'm personally going to miss the most. And I agree with Joe. I will never have closure. She will always live right here in my head and help me every day. So, thank you.
I think just in the interest of time, I'm gonna just, if you feel strongly that you want to share a story about Laura, just share it with your table. Come share it with the family, and because I know you guys have been sitting for a while, so I'll wrap this up unless somebody in their family wants to come up and talk. Okay. So on August 5th, 2023, I lost my hero. Hero and heroine are words so overused today that people call somebody who recycles a Starbucks cup an environmental hero. My hero is the woman whose premature son stops breathing hours after getting him home. His feet turned black as tar. She refused to allow ambulance drivers to keep her out of the back of the ambulance as they tried to intubate her child. Sirens going, lights flashing, driving at 20 miles an hour. I was in the car behind, wondering I may drop an F-bomb or two, live with it. What the fuck, right? So why are they driving so slow? Well, they were trying to intubate basically a preemie. So they're driving as slow, not trying to hit any bumps. My hero spent 2 summer months, Jade touched on this a little bit, at Phoenix Children's Hospital in the PICU. Doug Sycamore, I know you're here somewhere, but you remember that summer I had to leave work, go to the Phoenix Children's ICU, and then come back. So she mentioned it, blood clots were ravishing her brain at the time. My hero spent about 7.5 hours sitting in a dark room that Jade described, holding her daughter's hand as she screamed in pain. She tried to get nurses and doctors to administer her pain medication. I gave her about 50 minutes of break. That 50 minutes felt like a day. The only noise in her room was the clock that was ticking, and seriously, seconds sounded like tick, tick. And all I did was sit there helpless, pleading with God to help. How she lasted in there so long, I have no idea. Whew, sorry. Didn't want my voice to crack. It's so masculine. Cool. My hero volunteered at my kids' schools. She was a substitute teacher so she could be closer to them. My hero fought the Gilbert public school system on many occasions and fought the medical community in an all-out effort to allow her kids, and Jade mentioned this, to have a normal life at a public school. My hero sacrificed herself and changed her personality to save our marriage. My hero stayed by her mother's side. This is going to be hard for you guys. By her mother's side, pleading with her father to allow her to pass. Her father was unable to stay in the room and refused to let go, and so Laura stayed in there the whole time. Whew. My hero ultimately, needing to sign papers to allow medical teams to stop treating her father, and then looking at me and saying, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that." And my hero, she broke her ankle, which required 8 surgeries over the next 15 years. If you guys ever seen Laura walk, there's a video of her walking. She doesn't walk so good. But she was still able to compete in a half marathon in Tulsa, walking most of the way, jogging up hills. Those of you who have walked with Laura knows how fast, Kristen calls here right, somewhere, knows how fast she fucking walked. She walked sub 14-minute miles. If you've tried to walk 14-minute miles, you are bucking it. My hero stood up to the man outside Harkins Theaters. My kids know this story. Harkins Theater, and to a man outside a bar that pushed her husband. She jumped right in there, ready to throw hands. I couldn't stop her. You would think, oh yeah, I'm going to be chivalrous. Nope, she was in it. My hero was as comfortable at a country club as she was flashing during a game of cornhole at a friend's pool party. I don't know if Mike and Wendy are still here. That was your pool party, but anyway, they might not be here anymore. As we got older, I talked about death, and we talked about death. I always said that I needed to go before she did, because she's much stronger than me. My hero was someone that I wish I had the gravitas and strength to be. We met in college, early days. You know, you guys might see a lot of pictures of her and think, wow, I was really attracted to her beauty. I wasn't. I did think she was beautiful, but I was really attracted to her, how smart she was. She's way smarter than I was. We got married. I promised her father, it's old days, so we asked fathers for permission to get married. I know you millennials have no clue what I'm talking about. And I told her dad that I would take care of her as much as I could and as hard as I could. And so hopefully he felt I did a good job, and hopefully she felt I did a good job. When we were dating and talking about getting married, she said that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. She was very conservative. You won't recognize it by this video, but she was very conservative at the time. She was so worried about what her mom might think or approve of. She was always worried, she wouldn't go out without makeup when we were first married. She never went out without a bra or something nice, because she never knew who she would run into, and she was worried that her mom would find out that she did and she would be in trouble. We had a lot of tough times, hard times, wonderful times. We had two beautiful kids born in Oklahoma. And as you know, we've had sick kids. Marriages that have sick kids have about a 20% chance of surviving. It's really tough. It's tough on marriages. I had a lot of work. Some of you guys have worked with me. I wasn't always as lazy at work as you think. I used to work about 70 hours a week, especially early, and when I was in Oklahoma. And I also was doing a master's degree at the same time, and all that meant was extra work for her. She had two kids, 18 months apart, and she did a great job. We ended up moving to Utah, and I was gone a lot of time there. I would fly out of Utah towards Newport Beach on Monday and fly back on Friday, and she was gone all the time. One time I texted her when I was rollerblading down the beach at Newport, and because we worked the third shift, so during the day I had time to do stuff. And I said how wonderful it was, and she said, you know what I'm doing? It was on Mother's Day. I'm shoveling snow. I said, whoops. So I knew we were moving. It was pretty easy to tell, but at Utah, we did have our third child in Utah. She's a wonderful child. She was up here earlier. And so I did have some good memories of Utah. We moved down to Arizona when I got hired at Boeing, and we had a sit down, and we said we need to communicate better. Our marriage was pretty rocky and tough. She felt a little bit abandoned at home, and I felt a little abandoned at home too. So we learned to communicate, and we learned to sacrifice herself. And if she hadn't sacrificed herself, changed her personality some, we probably wouldn't be married. She put in way more work than I did. But in part of it, she had to get self-confident, which you will see in the video. She loved family, books, family, people, travel, beach, and family. You guys can figure it out. So some of the important lessons I'd like you guys to take from Laura. one, importance of family. But importance of relationships. I've been thinking a lot about it since Laura's passing, and I was thinking, Boeing didn't give me a sympathy card. GM didn't give me a sympathy card. Amazon, where I worked, also didn't give me a sympathy card. Nobody's come up and said, wow, Joe, you did a really great job on the H6, or you really did a great job on DP Reset, or any of the things that we accomplished that were, at the time, great. She never worked, and look at how many people in this room that she touched. So, I'm old now, so I can say to hell with work, but besides, providing, food, shelter, transportation, basic needs like that, the relationship that you build at work, and I notice a lot of people are sitting with their work relationships, but those are the important things that you take away. Those are the important things that last long past when you still work at a place. And the relationships that you make with others. I mean, there's a whole bunch of wild and crazy people out there, so it's important. So please try to take some of that part of Laura with you. Try to instill it in your personality, because it's wonderful. Also, try not to care what others think. It was a really hard thing for her to get the self-esteem to be able to do things. You'll see pictures of her without a bra. It's not because she's a wild and crazy person. Bras really broke her skin out like crazy. And I told her, don't care what other people think. Care what I think. And if somebody says something to you in a store, boy, that lady really needs to wear a bra, or somebody says something to you, if you don't know who they are, who cares? It's what people that are important of you think of you. And so she was able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the video in a second. I know some of you might need to go, but I would just try to, as much as you can. You guys are doing great being as quiet as you are. Try to be as quiet as you can. Listen. It's mostly music. Try to listen to the sound. It's not super great in this hallway, so the less noise we make, the easier it is for us to hear. The side screens are better than the top screen. It looks like they'll get ready to shut off the overhead white lights, so they're not on the screen. But again, reflect on your experiences with Laura or someone that's close to you. And sorry I didn't get pictures necessarily with everybody in the room in them. I did what I could without access to Laura's phone. If you guys don't know, when she passed away, it was actually a crime scene. So until the toxicology report comes back from the medical examiner, the sheriff's department has her phone. I had a hard time contacting a lot of her friends that I don't have contact with, and she's got a ton of pictures on her phone too, which I didn't have access to. So again, this was my therapy, and it's a little bit long, but I needed a lot of therapy, so I appreciate it, and go ahead and roll it whenever you're ready.